This is a 2021 3-round rookie mock draft. Superflex. We nailed it. We nailed it. That intro took us a second. What's up? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Turds. I'm here with Brett, the Hitman Phillips. What's up, Big B?
What's up, dude?
We got Robbie Schroeds on the keys. We're about to do a 3-round rookie mock. We're on Sleeper app. I'm excited, man. That's great. I stayed up till 2:30 last night researching this, just cramming. Like I've on it for a second in the beginning. I was like, this is too much. We shouldn't have done this.
It's a lot.
I felt like I was in college, bro. I was like, I got a lot of work to do because I want to have something to say, and but I feel good now. Yeah, I feel like once I got a handle of, because you see these lists and it's like each position is 15 players deep, and you just want to know all of them. And once you start to get a handle on like the top 7 at least, you feel like you're like, okay, I know who people are.
I spent a lot of time on guys I really liked. And then, like, at 1 a.m., I was like, what if I don't get these guys?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, hey, Brett, don't take the guys I'm researching hard because I won't have anything to say.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think I have a good handle on, like, guys. I what you want is you want to like guys and you want to not like guys. You know what I mean? You want to have a good feel for which guys are overrated or whatever. But, all right, so we got this sleeper. You're on it, right?
Correct.
You're on Sleeper app? Okay, cool. We're going to start this draft. We're going to get this shit going.
So the way I'm approaching this draft is I'm taking my own fantasy team into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
My needs on my personal team is quarterback in a Superflex for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, in that order. I'm actually doing pretty good at a RB. That doesn't mean that I won't take a running back if the value is great.
I keep seeing a lot of mocks putting Najee to Pittsburgh, and if I were like in our league, the guy who got the 101 so he can get Trevor Lawrence. If in our league, I'd be super tempted to take Najee at 1.
Mm-hmm.
Even we're drafting for 2 quarterbacks, by the way, which is kind of the same as Superflex, but we're drafting for our league, which is 2 quarterback and 2 tight end. But I also think that what's fun about that too with the 2 tight end is I think Kyle Pitts is worth the first-round pick in any format, like even a single tight end dynasty.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we might reach for him maybe in ours. Like I have the 5th, maybe that's pretty high, and I might get him there. But I don't think that'll affect it too much in terms of tight ends. But yeah, dude, Najee to Pittsburgh, if I were Earl Hawk in our league, I'd be like, okay, I got to think about that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to pass up on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he is generational. Let's start this draft. And which I'm sure should pick, hopefully, auto drafts Trevor Lawrence first because it should. So let's see here. All right, we got Trevor, Najee, and then Travis Etienne. Pretty much stock. I like it. I'm happy with those 4.
Yeah, I mean we've done our own like in our head or on paper mock drafts in our personal league, and this is about how it shakes out.
Yeah. Because you probably would be the one selecting Justin Fields there.
Yeah,
right?
I do have the 103 in our personal league, and it is a toss up between Jamar Chase and Justin Fields.
Yeah, and I think Justin Fields, like I watched more of him last night. I get it, man. He's exciting. He's like I saw a player comp was basically like a smaller Cam Newton, and I think whatever team drafts him is the only concern I have with a guy like Justin Fields. I have 47 seconds to pick. Just real quick, we did a whole first round mock, so I won't talk too much about it. Is he might be going to the Jaguars, and I don't really
Lawrence,
Justin Fields.
Oh,
or sorry, yeah, the Jaguars.
The Jets, right?
No, Lawrence is going to the Jets, right?
No, Lawrence. The Jags have the first.
Oh, Jags
overall.
fix. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. He might be going to the Jets. that concerns me. But I guess with the so other than that though, he's incredible. All right, I'm gonna do my pick, which I actually don't even. Oh shit! I'm running out of time.
You can pause it, right?
I'm going Pitts, baby. Kyle Pitts with the pick, which I picked in the rookie draft, I think too.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're not gonna get Pitts in the second round.
Right, and I might not get him in our draft. I have the 108, and you have this pick right now. This is our actual picks.
Yeah, if Pitts fell to me at 7,
do you think you're taking him?
I would take him.
Yeah, because you're taking. You're probably gonna play. Here's what I'm gonna guess. You're gonna play it smart with the 103. You're gonna make the wise decision, and then you're gonna maybe take a little bit of a gamble here, but we'll see. What's Brett gonna do? Kyle Pitts, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to reach for him. Ours is a 2 tight end dynasty league, so obviously tight end premium. But even in a regular dynasty league, if you can get a guy that looks to me like Darren Waller, but younger and probably a little, obviously younger, but also a little faster probably, especially with the way Darren Waller has come on over the last couple of years, I think teams are noticing that. If you can get a guy like Kyle Pitts to anchor your team at tight end for the next potentially 5, 6, 7 years, it's worth a shot. Okay, we got a lot off the board here.
Yeah. So
I'm going to change the time real quick so we can talk in between.
I took Devonta Smith at 1-7, just kind of seeing how it was playing out. I didn't see. I think in a normal Superflex, at least one more QB would have came off the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I noticed that they don't. I think they did. They treated it like a super flex by doing Lawrence first. But other than that,
yeah, at this pick, I basically had 3 people I was considering. 4 if you want to throw a running back in there. But it was Smith, it was Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Javonte Williams. And Javonte went right after I picked Smith, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is all obviously landing spot's going to be huge. This is these are fun to do right now, but we'll be doing a full 10 round once we actually have landing spots. You're up now too. So I went Zach Wilson. Yeah, Devontae Smith is Jamar. Would you have done Jamar Chase if Devontae was there, or if Jamar was there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm considering taking Jamar at 1-3 in our personal league.
Yeah, I think the missing the year lowers Jamar Chase's stock in a way that probably shouldn't have happened. I think he probably is still the best receiver prospect. Also, they talk about dominator rating and breakout age. He broke out at age 19. Like he destroyed college. Chase. Yeah, he destroyed college football at 19 years old.
Yeah, Smith didn't really dominate until he was a senior. So,
but a lot of people obviously point to the fact that he was behind 3 future first rounders.
Well, if you're that good,
well,
then you should be.
Maybe they're all that good. I don't know. That's
if
tough,
he couldn't
though.
beat out. You know how I feel about Henry Ruggs, and if you're not like playing above Henry Ruggs.
Yeah. But how many years younger is he than Ruggs? It could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been that. I mean, there's a lot of guys to talk about right now. I feel like we should maybe we should just do these 3 rounds and then talk about the whole thing. Your time's up. Trey Lance.
So I took Trey Lance here. I don't think he's actually going to be there in the second round that late, which is why I was kind of hesitating to take him because I didn't think he was.
Yeah, I feel like me and you just went quarterback there because to make it realistic. I would definitely be going running back in an actual 2-5.
Yeah.
I went Zach Wilson because, I mean, real quick on Zach Wilson, a lot of people think that this guy broke out this year, and one thing about him is I read he's been hurt a lot in college, but he's actually been a great college player. Like, he was excellent in his rookie year. Talk about, like, young and breaking out. He had his best year this year, but he's been good. Like, Pro Football Focus rated him, I think, 81 in his freshman year.
Yeah.
He was in the 90s this year. This guy didn't really come out of nowhere. Like, obviously from a production standpoint he did, but I think that if you look at the talent, that talent's been there for a long time. Like the arm talent, I don't know, man. A lot of mock drafts, like real life mock drafts, are putting Zach Wilson above Justin Fields. I get it. I totally get it. I mean, he's a better thrower, and he's not as athletic, even close, but he's super athletic.
They got his NFL comp is a more creative Baker Mayfield,
which I love, and I think his arm talent is spectacular, man. He makes some incredible throws. I'm gonna go running back here. Where's my boy? Where are you, Dimitrik? I want to talk about you, so I'm picking you. Dimitrik Felton, pick at 3-5. Sage Surratt. There's a few guys. So, full disclosure, I was able to get quite a bit of it research done last night, but not everybody. So I'm gonna talk a lot about the guys that I liked last night from doing more research. You went with Jarrett. All right? That's balls. All right, we're gonna stop it here. It's gonna keep going. 3 rounds. Or let's go. Let's see what 4 does. I'm gonna do 4 real quick.
Let's do 5. Let's do 5.
It only takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of tight ends we got on the board. Nah. QB. I mean, you got to take Trask here.
Yeah, I'm not a big Trask guy.
I'm not either, but at the 4th round,
yeah,
it depends on where he goes. All right, you're up, big cat. There's some running backs out there.
Do you have to pull down to see that?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You can see it. All right, and then I'm going to pause it right now. You took Hunter Long. Do you know much about him?
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's go over a few guys. We didn't talk about Javonte Williams yet. I think Javonte so Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are obviously the consensus top 2. But Javonte Williams, man, I don't really see. If you told, let's just say blind taste test, you just said Javonte Williams was the best prospect in this year's draft, no part of me would be like, huh? I wouldn't watch Etienne after Javonte Williams and be like, yo, this guy's better. I think Javonte Williams looks incredible, and he's a receiving back.
The guy is a freak. I was watching his highlights last night. They said he set some like record for most broken tackles in a single season or something like that with the amount of touches he had. Yeah, he broke 76 tackles on only 157 attempts.
Jesus.
It's like
there was a guy that was kind of known for his receiving skills in this little list on Pro Football Focus that I think broke 22 tackles and 44 receptions. I think it might be my boy Kylan Hill. But yeah, Javonte Williams, man, if you are I think this is probably the case a lot of years, but this is a fun year to be in the back half of the first round, and especially if you have. Did you get a second rounder in the trade that you just did?
I got 2.
Great year, yeah. It's gonna be a fun second round.
Javonte is not gonna make it through the first round.
Okay, but that's so fair enough because here's the thing though. In our league, I think at least Zach Wilson and probably Mac Jones. He went in the 3rd round in ours, right there.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones falls to the early 2nd in ours, but definitely I think there's gonna be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
I think it could be 5, and I think Mac Jones is talk about him real quick. Like, it's one of those things where everything seems to be pretty perfect about this guy, except his offense. I love when the negatives are just the offense was too good. That was the negative I read about Mac Jones. Yeah. They also talk about like middling arm talent, but it's like, what are you saying?
I watched him throw like a 60-yard pass on a dime. I was like,
that's what I was, bro. It's like his timing, his anticipation, his accuracy. I saw him drop. If you want to talk about the 35 to 45 air yard range, not even like a 60-yard touchdown, 35 to 45 yards in the air, I saw nothing about that guy that missed on that.
Yeah, his biggest weakness was it was an easy situation.
Easy situation.
There isn't in that level, even in like in college football, there's not really an easy situation.
And he played all SEC this year. So he broke out in a year where he only played the SEC because of the COVID bubble. So how easy is that situation? You're basically saying that the offense was incredible, fair, but you know who orchestrates a great offense?
Yeah.
Is the quarterback, dog. Like, I would be so excited about Mac. This is just a year, man. I will say, Trevor Lawrence, real quick. Here's a fun fact for the views. So you know how there's kind of the generational talent group, and it's Elway, Peyton Manning, Luck, and now Lawrence, right? That's the conversation. These are like can't-miss prospects that have everything you could ever want. Here's what's super fun. Until now, the Colts have drafted every one of them. John Elway was drafted by the Colts, and then he forced a trade.
Yeah.
And then the Colts got Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck.
Not bad.
What a
not bad.
How weird is that?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. So obviously it's not going to happen now, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence is in that category. I was actually trying to do a deep dive to see what to hate about him, and it's like, nah, he's just one of those guys.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's going to change the future of a franchise as long as he stays healthy. He is that guy. He is that generational guy. Anyways, outside of that, though, then it gets really fun, and that's where I'm not sure getting a guy like Mac Jones at the 2-1 or even in the late first round isn't awesome. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, both those guys were 5-star recruits coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Mac Jones was the 3-star. I think that it's so funny how like the people who are doing the mock drafts for the NFL and all the predictions and stuff like that take a 3-star recruit when he's 18 years old into consideration. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. I mean, Russell Wilson was a 3-star recruit, or was he? Maybe even no, he was 3 stars.
Yeah, I don't know as much about that. Like in
and
terms of
he still talks about that. He's like, yeah, he still has a chip on his shoulder.
Still resents it.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, so I don't know much about that in terms of how that plays out in an NFL career. Like, how many great? Because I did this chart that we'll jump to in a little bit about. I wanted to see how often a guy that I define as a great fantasy football running back in terms of a career, how often is that guy drafted? After the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just because with Dynasty, you want to look at like. Pedigree means something, obviously, but how much does it mean, and what are the odds? What kind of games are you playing? And so I'm curious what that is. Also, back to the recruiting, how many 5-star recruits ended up being NFL players per like how many 5, how many 4, how many 3?
Yeah, which ones hit
on pure numbers, and it could have even been just making the NFL, and then you could even do it to like fantasy. But anyways, do you think
who was a 1-star recruit was Trey Lance, and he's getting drafted above Mac Jones? Yeah.
Trey Lance, I would want personally. You drafted him just now. Just I think to be fair, I would like nothing to do with Trey Lance. I think when accuracy and reading defenses are your faults, those are things that I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't see that working out in the NFL almost ever. Like.
Hopefully, I think somebody's going to, because of the way the NFL is now, I think somebody's going to, I wouldn't say reach, but take him in the top 10.
Yeah.
But if he fell into a situation where he could sit for a year, or, I mean, you saw what happened.
Because I guess Josh Allen was known for inaccuracy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, even Lamar Jackson, they were like, oh, maybe he should change to wide receiver, or,
right. So guys can overcome it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Zach Wilson, I think, is super exciting, man. I think he's at this point probably overrated, but I think teams see his arm talent. If you watch the tape on that dude, it's spectacular, and he's mobile. I think he's smart. Anyways, we're just talking quarterback because it's 2 QB. Point being, Mac Jones, man, that could be that steal. I think the guy I'm the most excited about because of where you can get him.
I'm hoping. I traded. I did a pretty big trade to get into the second round. I got 2 picks.
Where are you at on the second?
I think I'm 4 and 6 or 4 and 7 or something like that. But
yeah, I don't know if it'll last.
If I could get Mac Jones in the second and he lands with like the Washington football team, I'd be pretty stoked.
Javonte Williams, do you have anything else to say about him? He's going to be talking about
I
a lot.
Totally agree with you. Like if I'm sitting there and Mel Kiper and Todd McShay are saying that Najee is the best running back in the class, and then I started doing research, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching
Javonte,
him run.
You mean?
Yeah, Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
That dude, watching him run the ball is really exciting. And he's like 5'10", 220. He's like the exact height and weight.
So, not to jump around too much because a lot of people are going to talk about Javonte. Also, he's a good receiving back. I think that he's probably going to be picked by a team that wants a running back. This is not going to be a depth pick, whoever grabs Javonte Williams. He'll be picked as a premium draft pick for a team that wants a running back. He's pretty complete. Although, I don't know if pass blocking is or isn't a problem for him, but most rookies have to learn that anyways. So,
looking at the PFF grades he's had since he's been since 2018, he's gotten better every year, which is something I look at.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to see the ups and downs. Like, he's legit taking strides, like massive strides, and I think that comes along with becoming a starter and stuff like that. But even like every stat you see, it's like touchdowns, yards per average,
and prototypical size too. That's one thing in this draft. There's a lot of people talking about certain running backs as sort of deep sleepers, or not deep sleepers, but once you get past Javonte Williams, you're kind of digging around for who pops out and stands out to you. A lot of these guys are small. That's one thing I noticed really quickly. It's like, Are you projecting them to get drafted? Sure, but are you projecting them to be good fantasy assets? I'm not so sure. And I'll pull up a stat on that in a second as to why I think that in general on some of these guys, because they fit into a category I'm not a huge fan of. Obviously, Etienne and Najee are excellent. No, we'll go to it in a second. I got Demetric Felton at third, right? Okay, yeah. Let's talk about Gainwell a little bit. What do you think about Big Gain Man?
I'm not a big fan. He kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like a Lynn Bowden kind of type.
Yeah.
You know, I think he'll be a. I don't think he'll ever be a starting running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he might end up being a complement, something like maybe top end, like a Gio Bernard.
Yeah, they comped him to Theo Riddick.
Okay.
So he's 5'11", 191. I think this is fun. Actually, Robbie, let's jump over to that chart real quick. The Google Sheets. Okay, so I did this late last night. I was trying to figure out like how much does draft capital impact not just whether a guy ends up being good in fantasy, but how long, like really good. Like the guys that you remember in fantasy, all the names that you're like, that was a good guy to have. I want a guy like that when you're drafting these guys. What are some of the commonalities? I wasn't able to get deep on the commonalities except to show the rounds they were drafted in. The criteria to make this list is these are all running backs that scored in the top 15 overall points in fantasy at least 3 times in their career.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that easy to do. You know what I mean? Like,
and it didn't need to be consecutive, right?
And it did not. Yeah, it could have just whole career. First round, you got some legends. You know that's, and I ranked it by the round that they were drafted in. So
it is kind of funny to see, like how the NFL has changed too. Like there's like minimal running backs going in the first round,
mm-hmm.
and the ones that are legendary were like, it was like 10 years ago.
Yes,
a lot of running backs were going in the first round.
However, and if you could scroll down, Robbie, because you got to down, you see. Look at that though, and I did notice that. So from I think around 2000, after Trent Richardson, I feel like Trent Richardson ruined it for everybody because he was so terrible. I think it was like post 2011, so 2012 to until Zeke. There was a real dry spell, dog. And a lot of the people that met this criteria in that range were all second, third. It was all over the map. Undrafted free agent, 7th rounder. But then it picked back up again with Zeke there and Melvin Gordon, 2 in the first round. That's 2015 or 16. And then you have Mark Ingram I think he was before that. But then you have McCaffrey, Barkley, and Jacobs within the last 3 years being first round, who are looking like they could be that next, and carrying the torch of the first rounders,
mm-hmm.
being studs.
It'd be fun to go back to and tag Heisman on all the guys who won the Heisman through this thing.
We should add a bunch of variables to this, now that this is the basis. But then round 2, what I like about round 2 is I think the best, right? Because you're gonna find the hit rate is not nearly as good as round 1. The thing about round 1, and everybody knows this, but the draft capital is so valuable that a team's gonna force it. Mm-hmm. That's why Leonard Fournette had even a career at all. And the fact that he put up a couple of top 10 finishes or a couple of top 15, all because he was the 4th round pick. He was not a great running back in the NFL his entire career. The year he was great, like 2 years ago, they just force-fed him the ball. He was bad on almost every metric.
He had career high in receptions. And
he wasn't good in yards per catch. You know what I mean? He wasn't his Pro Football Focus grades on a lot of variables were not good. But first-round draft picks, they forced it. So that's why a lot of times this happens more often in the first round. It's not necessarily talent. But the second round is still a high draft capital. I find round 3 interesting and way more of a crapshoot. Like the amount of running backs drafted in round 3 compared to the ones that ended up being pretty good that gets a little shaky. So it's like, oh, cool, round 3. It's almost the same amount as round 2, but it's like, it's really hard to figure out which guy's going to pop, though, in round 3.
Well, you'd have to go through and find that hit rate.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And then it's probably now you just look at team situation and shit like that. But Frank Gore was a guy that was kind of surprising. They didn't draft him to be a future Hall of Famer. But the reason I pulled this chart up is to then look at here's one fact. So I did all this, and then I wanted to compile one commonality that I had an instinct for, and I want to use this to analyze this draft class. And that is, Brett, how many, and you already know the answer, but just for fun, how many of these guys, including the guys that are on the honorable mention, by the way, if you scroll to the right, Robbie, on the bottom, use that bottom scroll. I got honorable mentions. Keep going. You can see these are all guys on the honorable that did it twice and almost did it a third time. Anyways, out of this entire list, there's, guess what, one thing they all have in common.
Do you want me to say it?
I'm trying to be cute about it. I shouldn't have told you before.
Well, I think it's cool. This is cool. I really, really like this.
Yeah.
And that they're all over 200 pounds.
Every single one.
Every single one. And
except, and I'll be full disclosure in case somebody's a real nerd on this one, Jamal Charles checked in at 199. But come on, right? And really, was he 199 his whole? He probably bulked up. I'm guessing he was.
What I want to see, and I love it.
Yeah.
Love this. I want to go back and see what their weight was when they were drafted.
So, and I think this is my theory, is that all those weights are when they were drafted.
Okay.
Because I would imagine Jamal Charles didn't weigh 199 when he was playing for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least it's close to within the first couple of years that they were playing.
Because
I think these are playing weight. All the ones I was looking at, like LaDainian's 217, 510. I bet that's playing weight LaDainian, prime LaDainian. So yeah, you're right. Can a guy bulk up 10 pounds? And will it fit his frame?
Yeah,
and so
these guys are kids,
Yes.
They still have room to grow.
How much
it was
so?
funny.
You can tell me more about that. I've never put on muscle a day in my life, so. What does growing muscle do?
The thing that makes me upset about what you've discovered is that I am extremely high on this kid out of Buffalo named Jarrett Patterson.
Yeah, so let's jump back
and I
to
was
the
telling
sleeper.
Nolan about it last night, and he's like, "But he's not 200 pounds," and I'm like, "So?" And then he showed me his research, and I was like, "Oh man!" But
let's say it's damning.
Yeah, it sucks.
Say it's a little damning.
And then I started reading more about Jarrett Patterson, and they were saying like he came in as a freshman at 195, and his sophomore year he was 195. Like he
hasn't been building muscle.
Yeah,
at all.
He is who he is, and I don't just based on that, I don't see him bulking in the NFL. He'll probably be this guy.
Yeah, and I think that goes for a few guys on this list that could have that. So one thing about the running backs that you're picking outside of Javonte Williams, those top three, a lot of these guys, they become interesting because they can receive the ball, they can catch the ball a little bit, and that's a problem with a guy like Jarrett Patterson, who right now, from what I see, is definitely rising up draft boards. And it's like, all right, who are you getting then? Like you're getting a scat back, and and you just don't get it confused. And that's the other thing though too. It's like the criteria that I set was pretty stringent. I mean, 3 top 15 finishes. That's a great fantasy player in terms of.
Yeah, I mean,
so
if you get a guy who finishes in the top 20, you're stoked. That's
like
RB2.
Let's say you get 4 top 20 finishes out of Jarrett Patterson. So that could be the flaw in my little analysis there. But basically, one way to look at it is if you're looking for that elite guy, even if you're looking for that elite guy in the second round, that might be one variable you're looking at. Like don't try to be getting a scat back profile in the second round if you're looking for that steal. That's why Antonio Gibson to me is like this could line up. This could line up perfectly in terms of his career. Is he has the dual threat, but he's also not a small dude.
Because I'm like thinking about I'm willing to reach for players I like at some point. But if I got, like you were saying, let's say Chuba Hubbard, who's fallen a lot, and Jarrett Patterson are sitting there in the same round, maybe late second. Like, what's gonna tilt the scale? It might end up being this like deep dive data you've done.
I mean, it's just I was like looking at it and I just guessed because I have another problem this year with the receivers in this rookie draft class. Basically, I was trying to find like how can I separate some of these guys that people are saying, like for instance, Jarrett Patterson, for instance, if some of you guys are doing deep dive stuff, you're going to see him at the top of the college dominator rankings. So a lot of people are super high on essentially how dominant he was in college football, which is definitely an exciting stat, and how young he was able to be successful. But it's like, cool, but how often do those guys actually last in the NFL? And that's a huge factor. And it always ends up mattering, especially on third down, if he's small. And I don't know, you might be able to tell me this. Does he have the grit to also stay in the pocket and pass protect? Because if you're primarily a scat back, but you're not even a strong pass protector, now you're that guy where it's like we were talking about. You got Clyde getting out on third downs a lot of times because of pass protection, not passing skill.
Yeah, and if people were to have taken that into consideration before drafting him 101 last year.
Right.
You know.
Right. But it's hard to, isn't it like tough to see that on college tape? Because a lot of college offenses don't ask you to actually pass protect.
Well, I think a lot of people get hooked on the Just Bombs productions, the Harris highlights and stuff like that, where all it does is show you all their touches and stuff like that. And so, you know,
not their usage rate.
If you have time, and we all want more time to do this kind of stuff, is like go back and actually watch film, like the actual game, and see who's in on third down and like what their usage is.
This is why I got like,
because I bet if you would have go back on some of that LSU season, I bet Clyde would have been pulled out
in a lot of third down. Yeah. Did Elijah Williams get drafted in here?
Elijah Williams or Moore?
Mitchell, sorry. Elijah Mitchell. No, he did not.
He was next up on the...
Oh, he was?
I think he's real close.
So another guy... Okay, so I want to talk about a couple running back prospects that just jumped out to me that possess dual threat ability and looked good doing it. This is a guy...
And meet that 200-pound criteria.
And meet the 200-pound criteria. That's Kylan Hill. Even from Pro Football Focus's perspective, they weren't even that high on him. I think they projected him to go in the 5th round. They didn't even comp him to anybody. I always think that's really funny. And they're like, comps, nobody. But it's like, you're either too good or you're not even interesting enough.
Justice Hill. Sure.
Yeah, some fucking guy. He had a down season for his career in 2020. He also didn't play that much.
Yeah, 15 attempts.
Yeah, and but he's explosive. And look, and can you jump over, bro, and pull up Kylan Hill, Robbie? I want to pull up some tape on Big Kai. Just hop over to YouTube.
Is it open already?
Yeah, just go right there and then type Kylan Hill, and pick any KYLINHILL. We're gonna watch some highlights while we talk about him a little bit, and hit the top one and just pull it back to the beginning. Make sure it's muted though too. We don't want to blow people up.
Let me fix it. Let me go to the 2-shot and then make sure it's muted.
Cool. But he's a guy that popped out big time to me on tape.
Just anything here?
Yeah, you can just play it like that. You don't even have to full screen it. I thought he was feisty. I thought he had a lot of energy. I thought he looked explosive. Look at that. Look at that. Stiff arm. He's a little stiff, but he's complete. I think he does a lot of things well. He catches the ball well. He's got quality athleticism. And there's just a few highlights. And obviously this is against a shitty school, but AB Christian. But no, just watch.
They're like, hey.
That's the one fan we have is from AB Christian. I think he does a lot of things well. He doesn't stand out in any particular way, but I mean, I'm going to make a comp real quick, and I don't know how much I am into this comp, but already I don't like Antonio Gibson. He's a little like him, like in terms of his receiving ability, in terms of his athleticism. I also saw some runs, and these are – ooh, that was a cute little hop. There were some runs in here if you want to watch this on your own too. He's feisty, dude. I'm telling you, he's a fiery running back. He's got a lot of effort. Can you rewind that thing to the beginning? Yeah. Little Just Bombs. Shout out to Just Bombs doing the work. God's work, right?
Yeah, we love Just Bombs.
Just Bombs. That he's everybody's go to.
Last year in our draft last year, we were hearing it, the Just Bombs intro music playing on multiple speakers.
Yeah.
During
100%.
the draft, it was awesome.
Look at Kylan. Look at Big Kai Hill. Look at that athleticism. He's athletic.
The cool part about Kylan Hill is that he was so much higher on draft boards, or like a year ago.
Oh, rewind that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
All good.
There's certain plays that I just want to be like, look at this guy as a receiver too. This excites me because he's not a scrub as a running back. But look at plays like
Triple
this.
coverage.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But like a lot of people were talking about him being like this guy who's going to come out, keep your eye on Kylan Hill, and then he's dropped.
Yeah, because of that shitty ass year.
And I think he could be somebody you get in the second round that could, land with the right. What if he lands with like a Miami or something like that?
Right.
In the second
or the Steelers.
round?
Like a lot of people are projecting Najee. What if teams wait? Like the Steelers have a second round pick. You can jump back over to the sleeper board, Rob. Look at that cut too. Good, decent. Here's the thing. He's hyper athletic, and he's a dual threat, and he's 5'11", 215. So he meets those criteria. They talk about some of his weaknesses being his lateral agility.
Runs high. That's what I said about Cam Akers too. I was like, the guy just runs up and down.
His lateral, so I should say he's too quick to get lateral is what they say. He's not a north and south guy. Fair enough. I like him as a potential project as a running back, but from what I see as a receiver, he's excellent. And he's tough, man. You'll see in that if you watch the highlights on him, he's feisty. Kenneth Gainwell, though, I couldn't find anything interesting about that guy at all when I was watching him. I couldn't quite understand why he was above certain other guys. For instance, Kylan Hill. Can you tell me about it a little bit? What do you like about the big gain?
I don't really like
like him?
Kenneth Gainwell at all.
Yeah.
I think that I think he's gonna be exactly. I think people are gonna be seeing all the trends with the NFL, and they're gonna try to reach on this guy. And I'm gonna try to pass on him as much as I can.
Yeah, what were some of his comps? Big old Gainwell. He reminded me. This is like when I was watching. I was like, I see a less explosive, less feisty Kylan Hill when I saw Gainwell. And so I don't know if he's where is he on this list? Anyways, we're not that excited about him. We don't have much to say about it. Let's
He's a receiver. He's not going to be a starting running back in the NFL.
Yep.
He might be a third down back.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
He's not even that great as a running back?
No.
From what I was watching, it was just there was a lot of averageness.
Yeah, they like he could move to the slot position.
Is there any other running back you're really excited about other than Javonte? Jarrett Patterson?
I'm really excited about Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay, can you pull up some Ramondre Stevenson,
just
Robbie?
Based on the fact that he is a man out there. Like very little tape, like he didn't play a lot, but when he was on the field, the guy was a monster. RHA, there he is, right at the top. Delete A.
There he is. It's in my history.
Top one.
Yep.
This guy's a monster. I forgot their comp was that Bush guy. Remember him?
Michael Bush.
Bush.
Yeah, I did see that. Which, by the way, Michael Bush was a guy that almost made the honorable mention. Michael Bush had 2 really good years.
I think he was a monster
2
too.
top 15, yeah. A great Michael Bush was that receiving back for the Raiders, right? Was he the guy that was always annoying for Darren McFadden? Is that my memory? Remember Michael Bush was always catching more passes than Darren McFadden?
I remember, wasn't Michael Bush's number like 29?
Something like that. Some annoying ass number. I thought it was like 40. Oh, is it 29? Are you saying it's the same?
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
This guy's like...
You're talking like an A.J. Dillon with a little bit more of a receiving threat?
Yeah. Dude, this guy's 6 foot,
Ooh,
250
he's got hands.
pounds, dude.
Damn. What's he got in terms of athleticism metrics?
They were saying that he... PFF. When I say they, I'm most likely talking about PFF.
Yeah, we're pretty much all in on PFF here. Shout out PFF.
They basically said this guy has like an unreal amount of athleticism for being 250 pounds.
They also see, I have read this a few places, and you can kind of see it on tape. He doesn't really use his size. He has it, but he doesn't use it. He doesn't throw weight. You know what he reminds me of a little bit in that way? Le'Veon Bell. Like, Le'Veon Bell didn't play like a big back. He played like a running back.
Le'Veon Bell was huge in college, too. He slimmed down.
Yeah.
So if something like...
So if you get a guy like, I mean, you even look at something like Eddie Lacy, right? Like if Eddie Lacy could actually control his eating and maximize his athleticism. This guy is nimble as fuck for what, 250?
Yeah, 6 foot 250.
Jesus. I didn't do much on him. He's super exciting. This tape is excellent, and the fact that he's catching passes at that size.
0-star recruit coming out of high school, went the JUCO route.
Did he get big? Look at that. Look at his nimble. Spin move.
Just. I love
that spin move was so unnecessary. That was great. See, yeah, I one weird thing, and Pro Football Focus points this out, and you can kind of see it. He does not often use his power as much as you'd like a guy being 250. Like, that could have been a Brandon Jacobs, like, get out of my way, tackle break right there. But he's athletic, man. He's nimble. This is a unique player.
I think Ramondre.
He's exciting.
Ramondre is going to go. I think I could get him in the second round.
They're projecting him as a 5th round projection. So, okay, but that's the other reason why I made that chart. Is like, it's fun to get excited about guys. This is a rookie draft. So this is all we have right now, is to get excited about guys. But the history, and again, what are you drafting, right? And I should make a chart. I should actually go back and slim down the criteria to how many guys had 2 top 15 finishes, or even better,
top
3
20s.
top 25s or something like that. And then you might be able to get oh, bunch of guys are in the 5th round. Maybe start the 4th, 5th, and 6th, start stacking up, and you have a bunch of guys that are serviceable RB2s. But what I'm looking at in the first 3 rounds of a rookie mock, or especially the first 2, especially the 2nd round, I'm looking for that diamond in the rough that ends up being an elite RB1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Antonio Gibson, or at least what he looks like he's going to be. Yeah, he is. He's definitely athletic. Ooh, he's nimble. He's nimble. Yeah, he plays like just a running back. He just plays like a normal sized running back with average power.
Boom.
Yeah, he's got a little stiff arm. All right, let's jump over to the sleeper again. And then I want to pull up, or I want to talk a little bit about my boy, Demetric Felton. Did you watch Mr. Felton at all?
I haven't seen much Felton.
Oh, you know what? I think I got that fucking wrong real quick. I think I need to correct myself. I thought maybe it's a guy. Well, I have to double check this list. It might be a different. Yeah, it is. Is it Felton?
We're talking Khalil Herbert.
I think it's Felton. Yeah. Demetric Felton, man. Let's pull up his Pro Football Focus stats. 5'10", 200. Just meets the 200. This is why I kind of got excited about him. What I was looking at when I was looking at running backs was dual threat guys that stood out. And I was trying to do a blind taste test. Javonte Williams is by far the most, like, if you didn't know anybody, you'd be like,
everyone was wearing gray jerseys.
Yes, and you'd never heard their names. You'd be like, that's the best guy. They comped him to Justin Forsett, Demetric Felton. But I see a guy that has quite a bit more feistiness, and that's the word I'm using today because Kylan Hill has it too. Quite a bit more feistiness than Justin Forsett, but I can see the comp. He's
maybe like an Austin Eckler or something like that.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's a little smaller than Eckler too. And he had a good year this year. His college stats are really not that excellent. He had a pretty bad year last year. His Pro Football Focus grade this year was 72. He's shifty, but he's a great pass catcher. And they kind of comp him also to just like a guy that can play in the slot. Basically, what I thought of a lot of was Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Just he doesn't look exactly like him, but I would say let's say Justin Forsett with a little bit of an attitude. Like Justin Forsett was never a tough player to me. Robbie, can you pull up a little Demetric? I know I have you jumping around. I appreciate you, bro.
It sucks when you like every single season we try to find last year's gems. Like we keep bringing up the comp of Antonio Gibson, like because he was a 2nd round pick in our league.
True.
Like we have to find that next Antonio Gibson.
Right. Look at this shift. I don't like how he went down there, but there's some highlights in here that'll stand out. Let's get that screen pass. Let's get that up the field. Let's go. Let's cut. Nothing spectacular. You'll see some plays in there where he's got a little heat on him.
I definitely, when evaluating running backs, there we go. I want to see him run the ball.
Right. Yeah. All right. This might be a bust.
Because if you're going to be a top 15 running back, you got to
up a turd. Yeah, I think I want to.
Demetric Felton, huh?
Demetric Felton.
Cue up a turd.
That's the play I like. It was average. All right, turd. Never mind. I take the pick back. I thought I saw something on tape last night. It was really late. It was really late.
You know he.
It was 2:30 in the morning.
You know who he couldn't start over? Josh Kelly.
Yeah. No, that's. I'm glad I brought him up just to point out the averageness of some of these.
Well,
guys.
it's good to point out too when you're watching film all day.
Yeah.
Like don't forget to take a break and drink some water from time to time.
I was doing this from 7:30 to 2:30 in the morning, and I only stopped because we had to get up and be here at 9, and I was gonna wake up at 7:30,
mm-hmm.
and I got 2 hours of sleep, and I feel great. I feel no better way to have a 2-hour sleep night. Let's talk about receivers a little bit, and then let's jump off.
Love it.
How we doing on time, buddy? Or what time is it? I should say 10:58. Yeah, a little longer. Okay, can I say I want to make a blanket statement about the receivers before we get in?
Go.
Everybody's the next Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
This is the next Tyreek Hill.
Every single receiver.
Every single one, except for Ja'Marr Chase and Devonta Smith, is the next Tyreek Hill.
I was cruising the PFF wide receivers last night, and every single player is 5'10", 200 pounds.
So
I'm
then I
like,
didn't get to this because it was late. I wanted to do the exact same thing. I'm going to do the same chart, by the way. And I'm probably going to pick a different criteria for receiver because it could be maybe 4 seasons of top 4 or top 15. Like if you think about the running back criteria, maybe I can do the same thing for receivers and go round by round. Anyways, I wanted to do that and then do the weight thing. It's like the same way I did it to the running backs. It's like 200's the cutoff for longevity in the NFL. You're going to need to be 200 or plus. That's kind of what that proved. Otherwise, I need to relook at it. You might have a couple years in the top 15 maybe, but you might be more of a top 25 guy in terms of more 3-4 years. But receiver, I want to do the same thing. Like, how small is too small?
You got to find it. You got to find that. What is the factor?
Yeah.
That's keeping these guys good.
Yeah, and I think that size still matters. I think that Tyreek Hill is an exception, and that's why everybody's just being like he's the next this because there's not that many examples.
Go find how many receivers under 6 feet.
And that's I really think it is under 6 feet, and then let's say under 190 pounds. Which everybody in this draft class is. Here, I won't eat the mic as much. You can turn it back up, Robbie. Yeah, I think so. Like for instance, Jalen Waddle and Rondale Moore are this year's next Tyreek Hill.
And then you could even throw in like Elijah Moore,
Jalen Darden is another guy.
Cade Johnson.
I don't know about Cade, but those guys are actually all being compared. Oh, and how about Kadarius Toney?
Tony's 6.
He's 6 foot, but he's still being compared. Well, you're right. He's the comp. I started watching Kadarius Toney more, and the first thing I thought of was Percy Harvin, and I did see that comp somewhere. So we're kind of jumping around here. Let's just land on Kadarius Toney because everybody's talking about him right now.
It's all anybody's talking about.
Yeah,
and it makes me so upset because I was really high on him, and then it's like a Senior Bowl.
Well, were you high on him before the Senior Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, I was high on Kyle Trask for a minute.
And then
when you start looking at like, okay,
who's catching the ball?
Kyle Pitts. Oh, and it's like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah, I mean, what I like about him, I mean, like I said, he looks like Percy Harvin to me, and he's 6 foot, so that's a plus. I think Kadarius Toney is the one guy that's getting hyped right now that really deserves it. The guy that I'm kind of is missing me a little bit is that Jalen Darden guy. I'm seeing a lot of. You're going to look him up. Jalen Darden and Jarrett Patterson. Remember those names. Those are the two guys that the College Dominator stat is using to amp up in the offseason right now. And I think
one plays for Buffalo, one plays for North Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
You have to take that in consideration when they're dominating their opponent,
Yeah, and I'm sure they talk about that more, but it's like, yeah, that's a huge component because College Dominator is a cool stat. It really does show it can be very predictive. But yeah, I mean, look at the competition you're playing, and basically you would say it's like you have to be noticed, but you have to have a great College Dominator rating if you're small and playing in a small conference.
The comp on Jalen Darden, I love it. It's just Darnell Mooney.
That's
it's
like
okay,
comp?
Cool. They're not saying anything outlandish.
Yeah.
Mooney kind of came on after the draft. People liked him, but they weren't like, oh, he's a first or second round pick.
Yeah. I mean, what do you like about Kadarius Toney?
He's just a freak athlete. I think it's like it could be one of those things that you want.
Well, that's why I thought Percy Harvin was the perfect comp, because Percy was not a complete receiver by any means, and he's obviously hyper athletic. And I think like if you watch Kadarius Toney, he looks like him a little bit, like the way he cuts, the way he jukes people. If I want to give him any plus, he's 6 foot, and everybody else that's being compared to Tyreek this year. Rondale Moore, by the way, is the other. We already talked about him, but that's a guy I feel also I'm a little about. Like I think in the last mock draft I was a little more excited about Rondale Moore. After watching a little more, I'm way more excited about Waddle.
What I like about Rondale Moore is that he did it as a freshman.
Yes, Rondale Moore has been good his entire college career, and
when he's on the field.
Yeah, and he's high, exactly. He's injury prone. Also, from what I see, I don't think he's a complete receiver by any means. I think he's just a freak athlete, freak athleticism.
Yeah, I saw something like 70% of his catches were like bubble screens.
Yeah, Yeah, and,
You know
and,
what I mean?
and he's also, I mean, it depends on, like, look, if the Chiefs get Rondale Moore, it's a completely different conversation. Because, like, jet sweeps, bubble screens.
Runs a 4-3.
Yeah, punt returns. I mean, he might be electric enough to be able to, what Tyreek did in his rookie year. He had 3 touchdowns in one game, punt, return, and then a receiving or rushing touchdown, whatever. Anyways, I guess that might be the comp. Because, I mean, Tyreek Hill was definitely not a receiver coming out of college. He was, but he was, like, more of a running back, returner, had a little bit of receiving skills. So I can see the comp with Rondale Moore. Look, if I'm going to say anything, I think Jalen Waddle deserves a better comp than Tyreek Hill coming out of college. Like, Jalen Waddle's a good receiver, man. Like, that guy can run routes. And he's the same size as all these guys, 5'10", 185. So I think Waddle's a little more exciting, and he belongs where he is because of his completeness as a receiver.
The other Alabama receiver.
Yeah, but he's got that insane speed, but he's a more polished receiver than Tyreek Hill was coming out of college. So, yeah, if you want to take a project like Rondale Moore, it depends on where he goes.
Rondale Moore's comp was Steve Smith.
I saw that, and I thought that was a little...
I think Steve Smith's
a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a terrible comp. No, I think Kadarius Toney, watch some highlights on him. You got Percy Harvin, man. A highly, highly athletic dude that can be used in a variety of ways. He's exciting, and he's probably going to be able to be a better receiver than Rondale Moore at this point, just from what he did in college. Okay, so I want to talk about some other guys. So, anyways, if you're looking through this draft class, you're going to see a lot of names: Jalen Darden, Rondale Moore. There's definitely a few others, but everybody's the next Tyreek Hill. I don't think there is one. I can see what they're saying with Rondale. Rashad Bateman and Terrace Marshall. Those are my...
Yeah, Bateman's a stud. I'm really hoping he falls into the second round.
Yeah. I like... I'm going to try to... Can you pull up some Bateman highlights, buddy? On WhaTube? They're projecting Jalen Darden in the third round.
What's his first name?
Rashad. And you can spell it whatever. If you type Bateman, it'll see... R-A-S-H. Rashad.
Bateman.
Rashad Bateman. Yeah, you can play any one of those. That's good. I'm trying to remember him or Terrace Marshall stood out to me in terms of juke ability, and I think it's Bateman. I think Bateman has some sick, slick moves.
This dude looks like an NFL receiver playing in college.
He does. So that's what I'm excited. Okay, this is why we'll talk about Terrace Marshall next too, but on Rashad Bateman, in this draft class of a bunch of next Tyreek Hills, it's amazing how few guys are just a good receiver from a prospect profile.
This guy kind of reminds me of Stephon Diggs a little bit.
Really? He's a little bigger, don't you think? I think he's 6'2".
Was Diggs like 6'1", 6 foot?
Is he? I think I always thought of Diggs as a smaller guy. Yep, decent contact balance. I mean, he's also I'll read some of the Pro Football. He's projected to go in the first round. His cons are his speed, but he's being comped to Keenan Allen. You'll see a little bit more on tape.
He's
Route
a
runner, baby.
Former basketball player too. I really like that.
Yeah. So he's an athlete. He's not hyper explosive on downfield, but he is I think he's 6'2". Yeah, 6'2", 210, and great route running ability, which I love. Coming to the NFL, if you give me a route runner at 6'2", with good athleticism, not great, I'm way more excited about that guy than, honestly, at this point, this might be blasphemous. I'm not that into Rondale Moore. After doing all this deep dive shit, and just totally against our first round mock.
Yeah.
I'm off him, dog. Like, he's a gadget player as far as I can see, and there's not that many of those guys that have ever worked. Andy Reid turned Tyreek Hill into something, but he also has Patrick Mahomes. It takes a special situation to make a guy like that great. He's got good hands. He's got a great release. I think Rashad Bateman's an actual prototypical receiver and could be a number one on an offense.
Allen Robinson.
Yeah. Oh, so Allen Robinson. Now I want to talk a little bit about that. Can you jump over and type? So yeah, Bateman. Bateman is a guy that if you can be getting in the back, can you type Terrace Marshall? No ends. Yeah, there it is, right there. This guy. This is the dude. I'm the most excited about him. If I had a second round pick, this would be the guy I'd be targeting. Not because he's necessarily the best, like you still want Jamar, Devontae, but in terms of prototypical size, athleticism.
And we're always looking for value.
6'4", 200 pounds. He's skinny. I think this is one of those guys that can grow and get beefier at the second level. But look, this is LSU this year. Obviously not the same team. How about catch one? How about a one-hander? Watch this replay. Out the gate, contested catch, PI, little push off, and a one-handed catch.
Think about it. He had to push off. Where was the separation right there?
Yeah, and then Homie grabbed his arm. But he's shifty. He's got good contact balance. He's a big dude, prototypical. This guy going to the right team, and especially look at him catching in traffic. Terrace Marshall excites me as you have Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Rashad Bateman, and to me he's the fourth best in terms of a prototypical receiver in this draft class, not the next Tyreek Hill, whatever.
He's only 20, so that's also a plus. He's coming in the league,
and I think he's growing. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. I think he'll be, he could be playing at 210 in the NFL.
And he was the shitty part for him is that he played behind two really awesome receivers.
Yeah.
And then coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's when he's on the field, his PFF grade doesn't reflect very well, but the guy put up numbers. He's lots of big touchdown guy.
Oh, by the way, Elijah Moore, and I think you mentioned him as another next Tyreek Hill. Oh, Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, same guy. Elijah's worse, obviously, but yeah, another. Don't get sucked into the next Tyreek Hill trap. That's my only tip. I'm over that, and I'm staying away from everybody, probably even Rondale Moore too, although he might be the best.
I invested big time on Mecole Hardman.
I know, but, I mean, at least that makes sense. He's on the Chiefs, and he ran a 4.3. Yeah, Terrace Marshall's just prototypical, man. If he lands in the right situation, I could see him being a number one receiver.
Give me a realistic comp for Terrace Marshall.
That's a good question. I mean, it sounds dumb, but T. Higgins already.
Yeah, I was thinking like if we're going after guys last year, Michael Pittman
a little bit.
I don't think he's as good as T. Higgins.
Yeah, I think he's a big dude, man. So that's one thing you gotta think about when comping him. The first thing I think of is a worse Brandon Marshall. That's the guy I think of because he's got the athleticism. He's got the athleticism to play. Like he can do a lot of things. He's gonna have to clean up his route running from what I've read, but you're looking at a guy that's 6'4" that's gonna grow. That, yeah, man. I think he's hyper athletic and can learn some route running. So yeah, with Bateman you get a more route. So this is a good way to think of it. Bateman, you have a more route running ready, NFL ready player in that way. Like the comps are Keenan Allen. That's pretty awesome. But with this guy, you might have a more prototypical alpha receiver if he can learn a little bit more of the nuances of the route running.
Bateman and Tyler Johnson played for the same on the same offense last year, and Tyler Johnson was like a really touted prospect.
Yeah, totally.
And he's buried on the depth chart.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like so,
it depends on where they go.
Yeah,
but I think both of those guys can get drafted. I mean, like obviously everybody's salivating for Green Bay to grab a guy, and that is kind of the exciting. If he can go to the right team to be a quality two, both those guys can be quality twos. Is there any other receivers that stood out to you?
I like Tylan Wallace.
Okay, so
I like Tylan
I'm glad
Wallace
you brought up. Can you type in Tylan Wallace, buddy?
He's been another guy that's been dropping off boards.
Tylan Wallace has, and out of the highlights I watched last night and what I've watched so far, Tylin. And I think we have to hit the first highlight. Go to that one and rewind to the beginning. This is the best highlight I've seen out of all rookies. This highlight we're about to watch, the opening shot. So I want to watch this with everybody. This is the number one highlight out of everybody I've watched so far, not just for this video, but for all
makes the 6 foot cut.
Yep, 6 foot 190. Watch this. This is great. This is an awesome run. No, it's not see you. Goosh. Dog. That's his opening. I love him, man.
Yeah. It was funny because I knew who Tylan Wallace was, and then I remember turning on ESPN one day and watching just a college football game, and it happened to be Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it too much, but I was like, they keep going to this guy. and like I was like, oh, that's Tylan Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
But like he had like a 10-catch game,
Yeah.
caught everything, scored touchdowns, and I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah, I think he plays. I mean, you want to just talk about a dog. Look at these every highlight, dog. Every highlight so far has been an actual highlight, like jump ball, contested catch, stiff arms.
He's fast.
So I saved him, and I'm glad you mentioned him, and I'm glad you got to mention him because he is my favorite. If I want to say like outside of Jamar,
Plus, you got to think about value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's
exactly.
like.
So
the fact that Rashad Bateman went in the first round and Tylan Wallace dropped to like 204 or whatever it was, like I'll take 204 and go running back in the first round or something like that.
You mentioned I think with Terrace Marshall, you mentioned a comp, or at one point you mentioned Allen Robinson. That's who I thought of when I saw Tylan Wallace. I saw Allen Robinson. Not physically, they're not identical in that way, but he's, from what I read and what I watched, he's unbelievable at contested catching. Like that's his game.
It's 6 foot tall.
At 6
I love
foot.
It.
And I mean, literally every highlight is 2-3 guys and him jumping over all of them and getting the ball. And that's great because one of his knocks is not elite athleticism. But you saw he's tough. This might be the guy I'm the most excited about right now. It might change, but he's tough. He's athletic. He's not hyper athletic. He's probably going to have to learn a little bit of the nuances of the position in terms of running routes. I want to pull up some more.
I like watching guys that play for bigger schools, where they are like 100% the feature guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Rondale Moore for Purdue was like, when he's on the field, that's it's going to him. That was with Tylan Wallace watching, especially with Chuba Hubbard kind of falling off this season.
Yeah. Yeah. What were his stats? Let's pull these up real quick.
In 9 games. Are you talking Tylan Wallace still?
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 games. He had 59 receptions, 922 yards, and 6 TDs. As a freshman, he had 1,400 yards and 12 TDs.
Yeah, early dominator. I'm telling you, man, this might be, I hope you don't get too excited about him because you actually have a second-round pick. But he makes me want to trade out of my 1-8 and get a couple of seconds. A guy like that is like, all right, maybe I can get Kyle Pitts, and then I can get...
Bro, if you're sitting at 1-8, you have 1-8, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting at 1-8 and Javonte Williams is still there, let's talk.
If I'm at 1-8?
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm at 1-8 and Javonte Williams is there. See, you might be in a good spot, though. Wait, when are you up next? Like in real life?
In real life, I have
2-4?
the 1-3, the 1-7, and the 2-4, I believe.
You might have to just grab Javonte there. You might have to go... If you're going Fields, you might just have to get Javonte instead of Devontae.
That'll depend on landing spot.
Yeah, of course. Because I think I have to go...
If he goes to the Bills, I'm not interested.
I think I have to go Pitts quarterback. So whoever's there. Like if Mac Jones is there at 1-8, or especially if Zach Wilson's there, I have to go that guy. I want to talk a little bit more Tylan Wallace, though, real quick. Let me pull up his PFFs. His puffs. His pff. Okay, so one knock against him, but I love it. He's 5'11", 185, but guess what he's not? He's not the next Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He's a goddamn good receiver with an 80 or above PFF ranking his entire college career. Playing for not a scrub school, not
a less injured Sterling Shepard.
Yeah. A tougher Sterling Shepard. He's explosive, but he's not high top end speed. So that's why you end up seeing a lot of contested catches. And they talk about his release is his weakness, which I'm not a huge fan of. I hate when a receiver comes in the NFL with route running. Well, I guess release is different than route running, but but from what I see in terms of like feistiness and contested catch ability, at 5'11", 185, it could be a little bit of a problem because obviously Allen Robinson is like a prototypical size receiver, but he excites me. I'd rather have him over every other Tyreek clone, including Rondale. Rondale Moore I could get down with.
Rondale would have to be, again, in the situation.
The right situation, yeah.
Like, what if Rondale Moore went to the Titans or something like that?
Yeah.
And they had AJ, they re-signed Corey Davis, and they got Rondale coming out of the slot.
This is what I saw. This is why I'm so glad you said that. This is why I got excited about Terrace Marshall. He was being mocked to go to the Titans. And I was
and
like,
take over for Davis.
yeah. And I was like, yes. 6'4", 200 pounds, running that play action scheme, which I don't think is that complicated for those. Like, from what I've seen, it's not a deep route. A lot of it's just crossing fucking patterns and deep crossers and shit.
And then reading the defense.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all wide open because Derrick Henry's back there. How soon do you think the Titans try to draft a running back to be Derrick Henry after Derrick Henry falls off? Because that's got to be within the next 2 years.
Like to replace Henry or just
Yeah,
to be
kinda.
Derrick Henry?
Don't you think they're going to want a guy to be Derrick Henry?
Of Ramondre Stevenson,
With
maybe?
But he's not.
Perhaps.
He's not as bad. Perhaps one could say. I mean, talk about like.
I mean, they drafted Darrington Evans last season, and he was injured all season. But I mean, like,
yeah.
he was a guy that everyone was saying, go out and get him because we never know when
Yeah.
he's gonna fall off.
Now, post 2,000 yards could be it. I mean, is there anything else on this board that you want to talk about? Oh, we didn't even talk about tight ends. We should quickly go over Kyle Pitts is such. Pat Freiermuth is a fun Jason Witten type guy.
He's a Jack Doyle.
Yeah,
A Jack Doyle of all trades.
He's a white guy. Let's put it that way. He's
just a block.
but he is shifty, which is kind of weird about him. Like you'd think like he looks like a big, ugly, mediocre tight end, but he's got some shiftiness.
I love that Pat is gonna go. I don't even want it. Freiermuth.
Freiermuth.
I'm glad that if he does, I'm glad that somebody's taking him at 2-2 because it's gonna free up the guys I actually want.
How about Brevin Jordan though, who in this mock draft went higher than him, and I'm a fan of that.
You like him?
Yeah. I mean more than Freiermuth.
He's a receiving tight end, which is what the NFL's looking for right now. So
he's a receiving tight end, but he's also tough. Hyper. He's an H-back. Like he can block a lot. He can block. He might be the best blocker out of those three, and I think that's true. So he can block. He's a receiving tight end. They comped him to Jonnu Smith. Yeah, I mean he's that smaller, athletic tight end type. If he goes to the right situation, he could be good.
A PFF comp for Brevin Jordan is Clay Harbor.
I don't know anything. I know the name, but I'd never watched him a day in my life.
That's next episode. We're gonna do a deep dive on Clay Harbor.
Just Clay, an hour and a half on that one guy that we don't remember and never was good. I know he reminded me of Delaney Walker, Jonnu Smith. Same looking guy. H-back, tough, not tall. For a tight end. Kyle Pitts. I want to talk about him real quick. Love me more than ever.
Somebody. It's not that somebody will take him in the first round. It's somebody has to take him.
Yeah.
In the first round. If you want Kyle Pitts,
his name's Nolan.
If you want Pitts, you're gonna have to take him in the top half of the draft.
What about in not two
top
tight
half
end?
of the first round? I mean.
What about not two tight end? Still though, don't you think?
It depends on the situation in the league.
Yeah.
I mean.
I think even in Dynasty, not even two tight end, you can get a guy that's maybe top 5 over the next 5-6 years. It's worth it to get that positional advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
people were laughing a couple years ago when you're taking like a Hawkinson or Fant, and it's now starting to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
The tight end position takes time, and if you have the time, like I would, if I was somebody in a one tight end league that had a tight end like a Mark Andrews, a top 5 situation, I would almost be more inclined to take a Pitts early, just to make sure you're locked in for years.
Yes, yeah, and that's how I see Pitts this year. It's like we all know that first round tight ends are fickle. It's talked about a lot, but every once in a while you might get a generational tight end, and if you can just grab that guy, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski, who else was
Gronk was a second, wasn't he?
He was a second, wasn't he? Who's the first that hit in the last 10 years? I mean, Hawkinson and Fant are doing pretty good.
Ebron was a bust for a minute, but he's kind of
he's been all right. Although if you drafted him in Dynasty, you probably got rid of him a long time ago. You didn't wait it out. Yeah. Anyways, point being is you might be able to get an elite all-time tight end. The reason I re-brought him up is because he's also known for his blocking. I one fun breakdown I saw was these 3 I think are the top tight ends: Pitts, Freiermuth, Brevin. Breakdown of like receiving ability, blocking ability, and Pat Freiermuth. You're looking at this guy, old corn-fed Midwestern slow white guy.
Old Pat.
You're like, well, I'll bet one good thing about him is his blocking. Nope. He's average or even slightly below. Guess who's slightly above average? Kipitz. He's actually a good blocker. People look at his frame, probably imagine, well, he's probably one of those guys like Jimmy Graham, just half-asses. Nope. On tape, that man shows the ability to block at an average level, which for a guy like that, 6'6", 240, the freak athleticism, basically going to play as a slot. If you're like, yeah, he actually can block like a tight end. Slam dunk, man. I'm more excited about him after doing all this than I ever was.
It'd be fun to go back with all the first-round tight ends that weren't good and see what they said about him pre-draft.
Yeah, we totally need to do that. That'd be great.
Because I'm sitting there. We continued on past the third round, but getting Hunter Long in the fourth.
Yeah, what about him? I don't know much about him.
Hunter Long is a better Pat Freiermuth without the hype.
Pat Freiermuth, the one thing, he shows some good shit on tape. He's pretty shifty, and I think he reads defenses and coverages pretty well. Like as a receiving tight end, Jason Witten might be my best comp because what you have is, except he's probably a worse blocker. You have a guy who knows how to read defenses and play leverage. He's actually shifty too. He can juke a linebacker to get open, which is a surprise. And just unbelievable hands, like perfect. That's not even going to hopefully ever be a problem. I guess I can jinx him, but
one thing I heard in that pod that we listened to the other day. Yeah. Remember he said, I don't know if you got to that part in the pod, but he said when looking at receivers and looking at tight ends, receivers he looks at touchdowns.
Tight ends he looks at catches.
Tight ends he looks at yards.
Okay.
So it's like what were they in their offense? Like you might see who was the guy? Was it Troutman? Or somebody last season was like, oh my God, the guy had like 15 touchdowns. And then you expect that to be like, oh my God, he's an animal in the red zone.
Yeah.
But like looking at Hunter Long here, that dude had 89 targets, 40 targets, 685 yards in 2020, 5 touchdowns.
Right.
It says here one time in one game he had 17 targets.
Interesting.
So
Who
was
did he
like
play for?
Boston College.
Okay. And his athletic profile pretty good?
His athletic profile is, I'll read it. Long has very few holes in his game, but no one is going to compare him to Kittle or Kelsey anytime soon.
Okay. So he's a complete player but lacks athleticism.
But if you can get him in the fourth round, like
Right.
He'll probably be a starting tight end at some point.
Cue up the turds. Are any turds? Out of any guys you want to, other than the guys we've dogged already, that you're just like that
I'll
you've seen?
I'll throw a couple turds out there.
All right.
I mean, we already turd. Kenneth Gainwell got a turd, right?
No, let's do Kenneth Gainwell turd. This is for us.
I think people are really high on Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. I think Michael Carter, out of the two, will be the turd.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna throw one in there. Trey Sermon.
Yep.
Turd.
I second that. I second that turd.
Double turd. Oh, and that was a yeah. Trey Sermon. I'm good, man. But yeah. So I like the guys we've highlighted. I'm with you, man. Watching Ramondre Steven, you totally turns me. I think I don't know if I did turn you, and I don't want to necessarily, but I'm not that high on Jarrett Patterson. I can see what people see.
You know who you did turn me on was Kylan Hill.
Do you kind of like him a little bit?
I like him at his value.
There's a feist, right? He's not nothing. You know what he isn't? I mean, Demetric Felton. I don't know if we officially labeled him a turd, but Demetric Felton.
We didn't even get to Seth Williams. I love Seth Williams.
Okay, no, I mean we can talk about him real quick.
We don't need to. The guy's falling off boards so fast.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of thing when I watched. I think what was it? I was trying to watch. I was going back and watching Darius Slayton highlights, and I remember being like, "Who's that guy?" And I think he was a freshman at the time, but I was like, "Who's that guy?" And it turned out it was Seth Williams. And then watching Auburn games. This last season, he had a horrible season. I think it was like, I was looking at his stats. It was like 3 catches for 19 yards.
Was it system or quarterback or anything?
They said Bo Nix is trash. So I think that when you go back to when Auburn had a decent quarterback, I think it was Stidham. When Auburn had Stidham, Seth Williams thrived.
Okay, got it.
And the guy, same thing. Like when I was watching Oklahoma State games, I was like, "Who's that guy?"
Who's popping out? Yeah.
It was Seth Williams. Always seemed to pop whenever I watched an Auburn game.
Okay.
And I don't know.
But I do like that. I mean, I'm not a scout. We're not scouts. I'm focused entirely on fantasy. That's why I even made that chart. I'm more interested. I'm not going to be watching tape and really discovering diamonds in the rough. I'm going to listen to other people and then check it and then check where they get drafted in them. But all that to say, every once in a while, you watch college football and you don't even know who you're watching. The game's on and there's just one guy that you're like, the fuck?
You're like,
I remember that was RG3.
This Brandon Oliver guy is amazing.
Oh, that's who I was gonna compare Jarrett Patterson to.
Love it.
Brandon Oliver all day, dude. All day. He's so you. He's so your guy.
It's my guy.
Now I remember RG3. Like I was listening to a game. I think it was the game in his rookie season where they both teams scored 70, and he wasn't a Heisman runner at all yet. He was still under the radar, and I was listening on the radio for some reason, and it was just such an exciting game, and they kept like RG3, and then it was similar to Devontae Smith this year. I think around week 4 or 5, I was like, yo, I think I like this Devontae Smith more than Jamar, and then over the next, and then he's the Heisman. Same thing happened with Griffin. I mean, that shit happens. So I'm going to watch Seth Williams now, see if he pops. But Tylan Wallace totally does that. And Javonte Williams does that. So, and Kadarius Toney does. I didn't do much research, and I didn't see much at all on Sage Surratt. So forgive me. Feel free to check him. We'll know more about him next time. I think that's it for this one. Any other insights to add? I busted out my big ones.
Okay, let's do a little side note.
Okay.
If we also had IDP, where do you see where does the first defensive player go here?
Micah Parsons probably, right?
Yeah.
And it's
third.
I think second round.
You think I think somebody's gonna reach for him in the second round.
Yeah.
I think
because somebody's gonna not know some of these names. You know, it's easier to know the top 3 at a position and then take them over a guy like Amon St. Brown,
who I like.
Yeah.
I don't think he should go at 2-3, but
Yeah.
I like him.
I agree, and I need to do more research on him, but I watched a little bit of him.
He's Equanimous St. Brown's brother.
And better.
Yeah.
Yeah, more athletic, probably a little bit more refined as a receiver. Smaller, which is honestly good. That guy's too big. Equanimous,
Yeah.
get smaller, dude. If you're going to be 6'5", be better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get small and be bad.
Yeah.
But, yeah, good for you, Amon-Ra, being, 6'3" or some shit. Yeah, I mean, we will do an IDP one, too. But yeah, I think second round, late second round.
I bet somebody shoots for him in the early second, but I think he should. If they go early, that just bumps up that next level of talent.
Mm-hmm. And no generational edge rushers from what I've seen. No Chase Youngs.
No, not really excited.
Nothing there. And then safeties and corners.
Except this one dude, Kwity Paye.
Yeah. I've just seen his name a lot.
I love it.
Watched it
I
all.
don't know who he is, but I love his name.
Speaking of name, I don't like Amon-Ra St. Brown. That sounds like a loser in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just the whole name. It's just too complicated.
Oh, you mean ARSB?
Arsb? You can't even make it a name.
What up? Oh, ARSB, man.
Yeah, Dwayne Eskridge. I'm going to stay off him until somebody tells me otherwise because of the name. Yeah, just certain guys aren't going to be. Who's the worst name in the NFL that is a top 15 player at their position?
Oh, man.
It's a tough one, right?
I mean, like, I feel like before he popped, Adam Thielen was hard to say. You were like, Thielen?
You know what? You're right. He had everything going against him. White receiver and broke out old.
Played at, like, Minnesota Community College.
And his name was Thielen. You're totally right. Great. That was a great first grab. But he's an against all odds type of guy, right?
There's guys out there though that like you're like, man, that name sucks, and then they pop and all of a sudden their name becomes.
Yeah, I know that is the weird thing about that.
Let me see if I can find a good name here. Keep going.
Yeah, I like. That's why I like Kylan Hill. That name works. I wanted to like Trey Sermon. That's a star name right there.
See, the thing about Trey Sermon, though, is, like, you play at Ohio State, bro.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you a first-round pick?
Yeah. No, he's
Or
average.
first round in Dynasty.
Watch Trey Sermon. You'll immediately be like, oh, okay. He just looks like any other guy. That's by the way, that's what Kenneth Gainwell looked like to me. I was just like, yeah, all right, just some guy. Kylan Hill stands out. Michael Carter's got that type of name that's a little too average to be spectacular. I will say I got a little hyphy on Zach Wilson, and I think everybody else is kind of on this thing like being above. I still think the number 1 and number 2 is Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. It reminds me a lot of the last time we had a generational quarterback, Andrew Luck and RG3. It's the same, like, one's the complete guy, the other one's the athletic hybrid guy that needs to get a little bit better as a passer. But with the right team, which looks like it's going to be the Jets, I don't know. Hopefully Salah, did I get it right?
Yeah, Salah.
Hopefully with that new system, hopefully bringing in a potentially Shanahan clone system with that the coordinator they brought over, that could be fun. That could work, right? Protect him a little bit. That's RG3 right there. If you want to make that connection.
I love Justin Fields, man. I think that he I watched a pass last night where he threw it like 60 yards, and the guy that caught it in the end zone, I was like, man, it looked like it hurt to catch that ball.
Yeah, Mac Jones does not have that. I will say that. Mac Jones has perfect touch and excellent timing and a solid arm.
Where you put Mac Jones? Like you get to choose where he goes.
I mean, I do love the Patriots landing spot that people talk about a lot.
I would love that. Okay, nothing against Mac Jones, but I would love one more QB to go to the Patriots and fail so that we stop trying to get them the next Tom Brady. I just want to wipe the slate clean and be like, we don't expect the next quarterback to be as good as Tom Brady.
What's the Patriots draft? It's like 13. What's their draft?
15, I think.
Okay, so I think you got to get a quarterback. Bill Belichick, go get him, man. Like, this is the year.
He's going to pass again.
I know. I do think that.
He's going to get Dwayne Eskridge in the first round.
He's going to get Demetric Felton. Watch Felton end up being.
One dude I did hear a lot about, they said that could be the next sleeper. The sleeper in the draft was Tamorrion Terry. Mm-hmm. I think that's Florida State.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to watch more of him.
He's a speedster.
Okay.
Next Tyreek Hill.
Ooh, he's the next?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's what I hear.
Cool. Get in line, dude. Get in line, big guy. All right, that's it for this episode of Fantasy Football Turds. We don't have an outro or anything. I thought I could jump into it. That was our 3-round mock. Next up, I think we'll be doing tight end. We'll do our Dynasty tight end rankings. So we'll see you in next time.